Okay, let's go.
So when you think of mental strength, what comes to mind? Probably things like being tough, right? Pushing through, never showing any weakness. But what if I told you the real secret isn't about what you do, but actually about what you stop doing? Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. I want you to think about your social media feed. You know that one person? Yeah, that one, whose life just seems perfect? I'm talking about the flawless house, the incredible vacations, the constant posts about how #blessed they are. We all know someone like that, right? Well, psychotherapist Amy Morin knows exactly what we're talking about. She gives this perfect example of a Facebook friend of hers who is, and I quote, always posting about how blessed she is and how grateful she is. Come on, let's be real for a second. Doesn't that kind of stuff just make you want to roll your eyes a little? And look, we all do it. A quick scroll, a little eye roll, it feels totally harmless, right? But, and this is a big but, that seemingly tiny habit has a very real hidden cost. So you're probably wondering, what's the big deal? Well, get this. Researchers have found a direct link. Envying your friends on Facebook can actually lead to depression. It's this vicious cycle that's so hard to break. And that's really the heart of the matter here. These little mental habits we don't even think about. They're secretly eating away at our mental strength. Okay, so how do we spot these destructive habits in our own lives? I mean, it's not just about envy, right? Amy Morin actually breaks it all down into 3 main types of beliefs. These are the things that are quietly, sneakily holding us back. So it all boils down to these 3 big categories. We've got unhealthy beliefs about ourselves, unhealthy beliefs about other people, and, you guessed it, unhealthy beliefs about the world. Let's dig into each one. All right, first up, unhealthy beliefs about ourselves. This one often rears its head as self-pity. Now, let's be clear, it is totally okay to be sad when bad stuff happens. That's just being human. But self-pity? That's a whole different animal. It's when you take that misfortune and put it under a microscope, magnifying it, and just focusing on the problem until you're completely, totally stuck. You know that little voice in your head, the self-pity one? It sounds something like, ugh, why do these things always have to happen to me? And see, that kind of thinking is a trap. It keeps you from even looking for solutions, from moving on. You're basically too busy hosting your own pity party to do anything else. Okay, number 2 is all about others, and it's a big one. Giving away your power. This is when we tell ourselves a story where other people get to control how we feel and what we do. We start believing we have to go to that party, or that someone else makes us angry. I mean, think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, or maybe even said it yourself, ugh, my mother-in-law drives me crazy, right? The moment you say that, you've just handed over the keys to your emotions. Look, she might be a handful, for sure, but you are always in the driver's seat when it comes to how you react. And that brings us to the third one, which is about the world itself. This idea that life is supposed to be fair. We kind of have this built-in belief that if we work hard, we deserve to succeed. It's like we're waiting for the universe to give us a gold star for our efforts. But, and this can be a tough pill to swallow, that belief just sets us up for disappointment because life just isn't fair. So, okay, these 3 things might sound like small, internal mindset shifts. But trust me, you can't afford to ignore them. Because sooner or later, life is going to test you. It tests all of us. And for Amy Morin, that test, well, it came in a way that is just hard to even imagine. When she was only 23, her mother died suddenly. Just gone, from a brain aneurysm. Then, 3 years later, on the exact same day, her husband, Lincoln, who was only 26, died of a heart attack. And then, a few years after she remarried, her new husband's dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer. I mean, this string of unimaginable losses, it forced her to really truly figure out what mental strength is all about. And it was right in the middle of all that pain that she had this massive realization, this aha moment. She saw that, yeah, building good habits is great and all, but real, unbreakable mental strength, that didn't come from what she added to her life. It came from what she was willing to give up. So here's her big idea, and it's so simple it's brilliant. Mental strength is just like physical strength. I mean, think about it, right? To get physically stronger, you go to the gym, you lift weights, that's adding a good habit. But you also stop eating junk food, that's getting rid of a bad habit. It's the exact same thing for your mind. Practicing gratitude, that's like lifting weights for your brain. But you also have to give up the mental junk food, things like resenting someone else's success. Okay, so now we know what these destructive beliefs are. We can spot them. But just knowing about them, that's only half the battle, isn't it?
The real question is, how do you actually fight back? How do you retrain your brain to think differently?
So here's the game plan, the toolkit for rewriting those old stories. First, to beat self-pity, you've got to stop running from uncomfortable feelings. You have to actually go through them, not around them. Next, to take back your power, you have to quit the comparison game. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the person you were yesterday. That's it. And finally, to tackle that whole life isn't fair thing, you just have to accept it. Truly accept that the world doesn't owe you a thing. Your world is what you make it. But look, hearing all this is one thing. Actually believing you can change, that can feel like the biggest hurdle of all. That's why Marin shares this one last story about a patient of hers that just proves, without a doubt, that even the most massive changes can start with one tiny, manageable step. So she was working with this guy who was diabetic, and he had pretty much just given up hope. He was convinced he was doomed to the same fate as his mother. And his biggest vice, his worst habit, he was drinking 2 full liters of Pepsi every single day. He was so down on himself, he didn't think any change was even worth trying. But finally, she got him to agree to make one tiny adjustment. He wasn't going to quit cold turkey. He just swapped his regular Pepsi for Diet Pepsi. That's it. That was the whole deal. And you know what? That one tiny step, it changed everything. His blood sugar numbers got better fast. And that little victory, it gave him a spark of hope. So then he started swapping ice cream for healthier stuff. Then he went out and bought an exercise bike. His vision started to improve. And then he set a brand new goal to get his driver's license back. He finally truly believed that he was in charge of his own world. And that brings it all back to us, to you. It brings us to the most important question of all. For him, it all started with one small step. So I want you to think about it. What's the one bad mental habit that's really holding you back? And more importantly, what is one small, tiny step you could take today, right now, to start building your own mental strength?